All right. Welcome. Welcome. We are currently streaming live on LinkedIn and on Facebook. If you're watching, please let us know you're here, regardless of where you are. Let us know you're here with a hello, happy Tuesday. Maybe put a comment in about how you feel about video marketing because that's what we're here to talk about. We're going to learn so much from Jaya today. If you are watching the recording on YouTube or if you are listening on the Small Biz 101 podcast, hello to you as well. Thank you so much for being here. I am your host, Connie Whitesell, and I do these interviews once or twice a month to support solo business owners by providing guest experts in areas needed by entrepreneurs. We have talked about so many great topics: preventing burnout, money mindset, legal support, even one of the most popular podcasts, amazing free library resources for small business owners, right? So many different topics. And we'll be talking today about the phenomenal impact of video marketing on your business. I am very excited to have the amazing Jaya Rose with me. Jaya is a hello, Jaya. She is a distinguished speaker and video marketing coach who is known for her signature story based brand method. We're going to learn about this. I cannot wait to learn more. Jaya helps clients and students fine tune their message and get seen online as an expert in this method so they can really effectively market their businesses and attract an audience who knows, loves, and trusts them. And for anyone who's been following my content this month, you know that's exactly what I've been talking about, that whole know,
Mhm.
like, and trust factor. So it's so good, Jaya, to have you here talking about this. I love that you just believe. I know that this is we are living in an unprecedented time of possibility, and that sharing your gifts with the world is not only an opportunity but a responsibility. So, welcome, Jaya. I'm so happy to have
I
you
love this.
here.
So well said. That was a hell of an intro.
All right, Jaya. So, as you know, because you've helped me articulate
Yeah,
this, my audience is primarily solo service providers who
yeah.
sometimes can feel like they're stuck under earning and overworking, right? So they're
Mm,
looking to make six figures and beyond while finding more time to do what they love. So,
yeah.
as I go through these questions, I just ask that you keep these people in mind. Direct your responses to this audience, as I know that's going to provide the most benefit today. Sound good?
Love.
All
Love it.
right. All right. Well, let's just kick this off. We have Rebecca here. Rebecca, so good. Oh, Rebecca, she is an attorney. She is amazing on video. So good to have you here. But Rebecca, you're still
Mm,
going to come away with some great tips. I know. So, Jai, would you kick us off by, I mentioned your story based brand method. Would you
yeah.
explain some of the core principles of that and perhaps how it specifically benefits solo service providers?
Yeah, definitely. It's the idea that if you wanna be seen online, it's better to lead with your story and your brand message than what you do, right? It's like if you were gonna start a video and you're like, "I help you create cakes," and you just start building the cake, the difference between that and becoming so memorable is you sharing who you are, why you build those cakes, and why you have a unique point of view. And all of that is gonna come from your lived experience, and I think it's a really missing piece very often for people, mainly because we're taught not to talk about ourselves, or maybe it's unprofessional in business. I kinda like to throw all that out the window. I am very unprofessional, and it works.
I appreciate you sharing that because and one thing that I wanted to ask you, I was thinking about this a little further along, but since you've brought this up, I noticed that you do not shy away from being controversial on social
Yeah,
media in your posts and
true.
your videos. And I've been curious if that is something that you do more in the moment as the thought arises and you're just ready to jump on, or is there something strategic about that?
Yeah, I love that question. So both. There is strategy involved in all of my spontaneous action, as well. So usually when I'm sharing something that's controversial, i.e., political, which is just wild to me that politics are controversial. I mean, I grew up in the 90s and that was not the case. So now in these 2020s, what is going on, that we have to be, that it is so divisive, and that when we state our opinion, it's just combustible. But it's true. It is that way. And so it is strategic in the way that I expect that people who want to work with me already know where I stand. And it's in my opinion that if you don't know where I stand, then that's my fault, because I want you to know. And for me it's really important and a core value, because I create community. As you know, I have a membership and I do group programs, and a lot of my work is centered around creating community. And my responsibility, I feel, is to create a safe community where you come and you can trust that you're not going to be judged, that you're not going to be offended by somebody's views. And we don't have to get into all of what the views are right at this moment, but my main goal is always to protect people from all of the isms. And I will speak out against every single one of the isms, and I'm willing to alienate people so that I can protect people.
I so appreciate you sharing that perspective. That really that's going to allow me, as I'm watching you, to take things in a different way. And I cannot encourage people enough, as you're watching this, to find Jaya online and follow her, just as a perfect role model of what she's already described and what she'll be describing
Mm,
as we continue speaking today. Jaya is on. I actually found you on TikTok.
yeah,
Uh, Boy, months and months ago. She has a phenomenal TikTok channel, but you're also you're on Facebook, and I'm not
yeah.
even sure beyond that where you are.
Mainly, yeah, Facebook and Instagram is where I like to be. My stuff goes to Instagram, but then did I say TikTok and Facebook? Yeah. But Instagram is not my fave.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So, getting back to your work and supporting solo business owners, for those who are just starting with video content,
Yeah.
what would you suggest? Just what are just some initial first steps that they can take to get started, to ensure their message resonates?
Mm,
Where do you begin when
yeah,
you?
where do you
Yeah.
mean? Well, yeah, it is the best question, because when you are good at what you do, if you have a large body of work or you have a lot of expertise, I actually think it becomes harder. It's almost like if you're starting something brand new without any understanding, then you can learn, but you have to undo a number of things when you've been talking about what you do. You've been making sales, right? You have the experience in the game, because speaking on video particularly, and I call this short form video, so under 90 seconds. I'd say between 45 and 90 seconds, to speak your message in a concise way in that amount of time becomes like a brain scramble to go, well, I could stand here for 5 minutes and tell you what I do, but you want me to do it in 45 seconds? And that is because it really is a different language. And I think it's helpful and validating to say, if it feels hard, it's because you're trying to speak English and this is Japanese or this is Spanish. This is an entirely different language. And also, you will learn it more quickly when you approach it that way. So the language of short form video has some rules that I find very helpful. So the first rule is that you've got to understand who you're talking to. So if you aren't clear on what your niche is or what you do, that is video is not the first step. Don't start doing videos. Get clear on who you help, do market research, talk to people, give away free sessions. That's what I always recommend. When you bring a clear message to video, we actually can take it through the rules a lot better. So if you can answer the question, who do you help? What is their core issue? And listen, they might have a lot of issues, but this is the core issue that your work can help with, right? What is their core desire? So when they come to you, what becomes possible? That is what you want to speak to. And then we could take any of your teaching and fill in the blank. So, for example, we've done this together, Connie, and you kind of know this model, right? It doesn't it make it so much easier? So, if I were to start a video, well, go ahead. Does it make it
No, no,
easier?
go ahead. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So, if I were to start a video talking to who I talk to, I would say, are you an expert at what you do? But you're having trouble conveying that over short form video in a concise way. So I just hit who I'm talking to and what the problem is, right? First two things. That probably took 5 seconds. That would be the hook of my video. Then I would go, but you have a desire, but you know it's important to get out there and it's on your list to start creating videos in this video. And then I will go ahead and set up, I'm going to give what I call an aha moment. So I just painted the desire and then I'm going to say, I'm going to make this easy for you. Here's the first thing you want to focus on. And reminding you, as I say this, you do not have to teach everything that you know in one video. In fact, I recommend you don't, because over the course of a number of videos, you're going to create the know, like, and trust that it takes to make a sale. The intention is not to do that in one video. And I think that that's just like take the pressure off yourself to think that you're going to nail it in one video. And that magic may exist and may happen. But more so, each video plants the seed for you to become the answer for your ideal client or customer's question, right? Or the solution to their problem. And you just do this through clear communication. And then when we get to the aha moment, recognizing again, I don't have to take everything I teach and put it in there. I'm going to go one thing. The one thing that you need to know is that your lighting and sound is actually one of the most important things for positioning you as a go to leader. Did you know that? No? Well, now you do. And get started there. And if you want more tips like this, follow my page or download my free video marketing course, right? Then I'll do a call to action. So, that basic framework, let me tell it to you again, because y'all probably want to be taking some notes here. Who you're talking to, what the issue or problem they're experiencing is, what their desire is, i.e., what becomes possible when they work with you or buy from you, an aha moment, and a call to action.
Beautiful.
And every video follows that framework somewhat. Of course, we can have creativity, we can have sketches, we can have lifestyle content. And if you just followed that, you could get really good at speaking on camera.
I see it every time you're there on video. And
You
and
can
of course,
see me doing it, right?
oh, absolutely,
Yeah. Now
absolutely.
I just gave you the code. This is called the clarity code.
And Jaya doesn't stop there, right? Something that really benefited me, one thing that you talk about is, especially on video, you need to catch somebody's attention right away.
Yeah.
Right? So you have this, sometimes it's a shocking statement that you begin with, but something
Yeah.
that just draws people in so they'll be there to watch the rest, because I feel like so often people take time, and I've done this where I've, spend so much time working on the message, but
Yes.
then if you don't grab someone, nobody's going to watch it, right?
That is the most important thing, is the getting attention in the first 5 seconds, and I think it's really the make or break for a lot of people, because like you said, you're gonna spend all this time clarifying what you're gonna say, and then nobody's gonna hear it. So absolutely, hooks are a major thing. You know, Connie, that in my Video Magic program, I give you 25 hooks that you honestly could use again and again, but ultimately you have to create curiosity. And oftentimes people are curious just because something leads somewhere else. Like, this is the most shocking thing you're going to hear today, right? That could be a hook, because then the curiosity says, well, what is the most shocking thing? So you could think about it that way. You also could think about it in terms of what I call media messaging. Media messaging positions the possibility or results of what you're talking about at the front of the statement. Now, this is very unnormal for the way most of us communicate. And especially, I go back to the idea that if you're good at what you do, you've done sales calls or you've done presentations or webinars, or you've gone to networking events and you talk about what you do, you actually have to unlearn the way that you're communicating in those ways, or at least see the difference between putting it into a media message. Because as most of us are communicating, we are building context. So we start out very softly, usually. We don't go, you know, want to make 10K in 3 days. Like that's wild. You just would never say that to somebody. But by the end of what you're saying, you might say, and that's how I made 3K or 10K in 3 days. And you built up to it. So it's really the uncomfortable part for most people is understanding that yes, you've got to build that curiosity. And you can do that through a shocking statement. And oftentimes, before any context, a big result is shocking, right? So that possibility at the beginning
Love it.
is is how you create good media messages.
Makes perfect sense. Now, you focus quite a bit, and it's in the name of your method, story based.
Yeah.
You've been so effective at sharing your message through sharing stories. Would you
Yeah.
mind sharing an example of how you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So storytelling is so powerful, and y'all know that. You will forget everything about what someone said, but you will remember the story they told you and probably the lesson that came from it. And this is just important to know. And you can create mini stories. I mean, I have a number of different ways I teach storytelling for video, but I actually just did a video before this because my makeup's done and I will be capitalizing on that. Okay. I did a video and I used this. I think I did two different versions of it, which is another thing I always recommend that if you're going to shoot a video, do a very similar version, just maybe with a different hook and a slightly different lead in and shoot them right next to each other. So now I have two videos that are kind of similar and I love that for me. Okay. So what I did, and I'll just be sort of candid with you. I just went through a message rebrand in the last month. One of the things I've been doing is shifting where somebody is on their journey. So I didn't change that I'm teaching how to speak on video, how to grow your brand, all of that. I changed at what point in the journey someone is on. And this does change your message. So, especially with video marketing, because right at the beginning of the video, a big difference. There is a big difference between saying, if you're just starting out in business and you want to get comfortable on camera versus if you're really good at what you do and you want to represent your brand at a very high level, right? Those are two different phases and make a massive difference in terms of who I'm talking to. Now, the way I'm going to relate this to storytelling for you is that this is right. We always have to know who we're talking to, right? Who is the audience? Now, the next question is what do they need to hear? What is the message that we're sharing with them? What are we teaching? What is the aha they need? Now, the question after this becomes what story do I have that reinforces this? So, for example, when I was talking more to the, hey, do you want to get clear on your niche and start getting comfortable on camera? I have a story that meets that, right? So the key with storytelling is not to tell a long story or even to talk about yourself. It's to find relatability. To find relatability with the audience and connect it to the message. And then I call this validating your message. So, for example, I used to say, I went from making 30K a year to 30K in a month. And you can tell that would be very compelling. And then I would tell a story, but something that always held me back. And I would go into kind of like the core of what held me back. Cause, the story always dips at the beginning and then talk about how I overcame it and now how you could overcome it too, implying that you're going to relate to what I'm saying. So, my point in telling you all this is that you can create a storyline for any message because you probably have a lot of stories and examples and lived experience to back up what you're saying. So, when I just shot this video, I haven't done very many storytelling videos since I have shifted my message. And it actually was so hard for me because I'm starting right where you are if you haven't been sharing stories. So I did my own process and I thought, okay, I know who I'm talking to. People who have they're not doing video not because they're scared or don't know what to say. They're not doing it because they're overwhelmed by how much they have in their brain and how freaking good they are and they can't break it into small pieces. So I thought about, well, where in my journey was that happening? Because I've done the whole journey, right? When you have done it all, you know that you can meet them there. So I talked about instead of like when I was making only 30K a year, that was 8 years ago. I actually talked about 4 years ago when I already was an expert, I already was comfortable on video, but I was paralyzed by the idea of taking my message and making it concise on a short video. I had zero idea. So I think that's how I started. I had zero idea how to create short videos. And 6 months later, I had a 100K launch from my short videos. I'm going to tell you how I did that. So that's my new storyline. Hello. Behind the scenes. And you do want to use your biggest results. Like I said, and this is something that you're going to have to work through because most of us are a little bit resistant to doing it. I just am kind of like at a fuck it moment in my life. And that's where that's how I live. So I just go for it. And it is, I only say what's true. Now, are you going to go like that lacks 100% of the nuance, right? But I want your hooks and your storylines to lack 100% of the nuance. It has to. You can't add nuance into a title, into a headline, into I mean, look at the news for Lord for God's sakes. Right? And so some of that is just playing the game. That is the attention game. So that was a very long answer, but I thought I would take you through some of that.
Oh, it was perfect. I absolutely love it. And Karina Langworthy joined us as well. Karina, it's so good to have you here. Karina is a Pink Cadillac level Mary Kay director.
Okay.
She is
Hey, Mary
amazing.
Kay.
And I bet, I'm just, as you were talking about the story, I'm thinking, boy, for Karina, wouldn't that be so powerful to share
Yes.
her story of
Mhm.
where she was to now consistently having these beautiful pink cars every year that are amazing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, how I went from not knowing how I was going to pay the bills to receiving a pink Cadillac. Great storyline,
Yeah, and so much
if
more.
that's relevant.
Yeah, yeah, and I think for anyone here who's listening, really think about your story, and not just one, but we have so many
Yeah,
stories. So many things have happened along the journey that your clients are going to find relatable and your customers are going to find relatable. What
absolutely.
Jaya, what if somebody is a little hesitant to share their stories publicly? How can they overcome that fear? Any advice there?
Well, I'm a big fan of practice overcoming fear because usually we're scared because the muscle is weak. It's like, "Oh, I'm scared to go to the gym and get into the big squat rack and put 50 pounds on each side." Are you scared of that or do you just not have the capacity and the muscle to do it? So usually it's because you haven't done it. And then we make up a story that we're not going to be good at it. And we start creating evidence, right? That it doesn't even exist yet. I mean, hi, raise your hand if you've done that. So in my opinion, if you are fearful of sharing your story or even getting on video, then you need to get on video, but you need to not post it. So another thing that I'm a big fan of is taking the pressure off. So I'm neurodivergent and I'm a rebel. So I will rebel against my own ideas. If I say, okay, tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'm doing this, at 10 p.m. I'm doing or 10 a.m. I'm doing this, I will not do it simply because I told myself I had to. So I am the queen of working around. Uh, your own resistances. And so you've got to take the pressure off yourself. If I said, oh, you just have to do it, that's such annoying advice, right? But what I always recommend doing is creating 5 videos that you give yourself feedback on. So each day for 5 days, record a 2, 3 minute video and literally talk about whatever you want. You could try to use some of the formula I've given you here. You could use, the storyline, try any of it, but there's no actual requirement about what you have to do. Just talk to the
Mhm.
camera. The key is that then you're going to go back, watch yourself. So you keep it kind of short, right? So that you can actually get through it. And you're going to give yourself 2 compliments and 1 thing you need to work on. So you're not allowed to go, "I hate my hair. I hate this. I'm not looking at the camera. I said like you no, because you're going to come up with 10 things to criticize right away. And then you're going to create a muscle that tells you that you're not good at video and you don't need that muscle, right? You've got to build the muscle that you actually want, which is, yay, I did it. Yay, my lighting looks good. I wish I didn't say so much. Cool.
Perfect formula.
Right? So then you do that over and over again, and I promise you that by the 5th video, you will be way more confident to share to actually then share it. Then the next step is share it. That's the idea.
Love it. What if someone is not out there on video showing up consistently online? What if it doesn't come from fear? What if it comes from overwhelm? Like I shared, so
Mhm.
many of the people I work with are just overwhelmed. They have so much on their plates. And starting something, I know I experienced this. Starting this, I was like, oh my goodness, it would just take me so long to do a video until you started helping me with
Yes,
these.
right.
But what are some, and maybe it's the same thing, but do you have some practical tips to share for someone who has trouble consistently showing up online because it's coming from that place of overwhelm rather than fear?
Yeah, absolutely. So those are 2 different approaches. We don't wanna add on, do a video 5 days in a row. That's just gonna overwhelm you more. So we always wanna scale back. It's like, in my opinion, when overwhelm is happening, it's because there's too much. Really, probably it's just that our nervous system is dysregulated, but that's a too much problem too. So we wanna look at where can we take something away, and most likely it's gonna be the way you think about it. So probably you're putting an expectation that it has to be XYZ perfect in some way. So where are you holding yourself to perfection before you've even practiced? That's a great question to ask yourself. And then we also want to ask the question, have I learned a process that I can practice? And I think that because it actually physically is so easy to open your camera and hit record, that there is no complication around that, that then we create a ton of complication, and also we underestimate what it really takes. So if you've heard the messaging, "Oh, you just do it, just show up, just hit record, just post it." I am actually under the school of thought that's, no, don't do that. Invest in a program. I mean, I have an entire business because I believe this so deeply. Take one of my workshops. Take my free video marketing course. Invest in learning so that when you start practicing, because your first couple dozen videos are just going to be practice, then you actually are practicing something that's going to serve you. So, like I gave you that framework here, things like that. That's why I teach easy frameworks so that when you get overwhelmed, you just go, no, I just got to go back to the framework. And you actually have a process to practice.
Love it. One thing I found myself doing because I was just kept going for perfection is I finally told myself 3 times, "That's it. You have 3 opportunities to do this." And
Okay.
usually I ended up going with the first one.
I love that.
So, yeah, this is so helpful. And it's reminding me as you're talking about this, um, I my mind went to kind of the practical, like, what are some of the tools that are helpful for people to have when they're ready to do that? We talk about some people think, oh,
Yeah.
the lighting's got to be perfect, the sound needs to be perfect, and it does need to be good quality, right?
Yeah.
But where are you on that level? I mean, is it okay for somebody to do just a casual video on the phone without a tripod, or what do you recommend when it comes to using tools?
Yeah, absolutely. My question for you is, what level experience are you bringing to your brand? And this means that if you are an expert at what you do and you have a lot of results under your belt that you've helped people with, then I want that to be communicated visually through your brand, through your and everything you do is branding, right? Knowing that brands, like your brand message, the way you look, the way you speak, all of how it makes people feel. This is about being understandable and memorable. That is the goal with the brand. So, what are you communicating for them to understand? And is it memorable? Meaning, usually that just requires consistency, but also clarity, like eat, like an easy thing versus a super complicated thing. Now, what this means is that I'm going to filter that question individually for each person through where are you? Now, if someone says to me, "You know what? I really don't even know what I want to do. I just want to get out there. This is like a just something for me to work on. It's a mountain I want to climb." I'd be like, "Open your camera anytime and post that damn video." Now you come to me and say, "Jaya, I have years of experience doing what I'm doing, and I want to take my message online and I want to represent my brand." I would say, "Cool, let's do some things for that to happen." So let's assume that that's the case. What would we do? Okay. Actually, do I have it right here? I have little microphones that I use. I thought I had one right here, but I'm not seeing it. But I use just little lapel mics and I actually hold them because I think it's cute. And you could use any type of mic, but I would get a mic. These are very inexpensive. The ones I use are like $5. So we shouldn't have any resistance there. Absolutely sound. The difference between having crappy sound and good sound is going to elevate your brand versus tarnish your brand, and that's kind of how I'm looking at it. For sure, lighting and a tripod. So a microphone and a tripod and getting yourself in some good lighting, that is it. And that is like a $25, $30 investment.
It's so doable. You
Yeah.
don't have to have the big professional photography lights and the big
Mm-mm.
umbrella lighting. Yeah, yeah,
No,
it's
absolutely. And then secondary to this, I like a branded space so you can see. Wait, which way do I go? This way? Yeah, here we go. Behind, oh my God, I don't, everything is backwards. I'm like, this is not, this is weird. Behind me in this leather chair and where that over here. This plant, this is what you see behind me. If you actually go to my TikTok, you would see that I have a lot of videos that are there. It is best to have a branded space. One, it looks good, it looks consistent, but also it takes the resistance of, oh, now I need to clean up this space, or where is the microphone? Where is the thing? So I have my tripods here, I have my microphone charger here. I make it easy for myself. I basically take the excuses away.
I'm realizing I need to work on that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I teach all of that I know you're in my Video Magic program, Connie, and that is a whole section on how to brand your space.
I'd love for you to talk more about your programs, if you would. And I'll just share to begin with that Video Magic program. It is so robust for anyone
Mhm.
who's thinking about getting into doing video. There is so much great information and tools and templates and access to Jaya. It's incredible. But what I'll ask you, what are you focusing on now? What would you like people to know about your current programs?
Yeah, I mean, Video Magic is a great offer, especially if you want like a library that you can come back to with different types of videos, with like Connie was saying, frameworks, templates, hooks. It is when I'm saying to you, I want you to have a process to practice. That is where I teach that in Video Magic. I also have an ongoing membership, which Connie is a part of. And I love you being in the Being Well Known membership. And that is about consistently showing up. And you do get access to me asking questions. And there's live trainings and a live hype circle where we go on and we actually hype each other up, which is going to be fun as that grows. So that is a great resource as well. And then I have a higher level mastermind if you want to work with me for 6 months, and with the focus of becoming very visible, along with getting podcast interviews and potentially speaking gigs. And that is, so those are kind of my 3 levels of offers.
Great variety.
Yeah.
What have I not asked you that would be important that you would like this audience to hear?
Yeah.
Is
I
there
think a
anything in
good
particular?
I think a good question is, where are we headed? What do I need to know about, whether it's getting started with video marketing or ongoing, right? Like maybe you're already doing it. What do you need to know about where we're headed? I think this is always a good question because we want to invest in the future, right? You're not just doing videos so that it can help your business today. You want to be doing videos so that it helps your business next year and the following years to come. So, one thing that I think is really important to look at is what has been trending over the years around video marketing and how do you know what to invest into? So, one thing I know for sure is that video is here to stay. So if you're like, it's just a fad, I don't really know. It's not. It's not. It is increasingly becoming one of the most important skills to have in your business to be able to communicate your message on video. And I have lots of evidence because I started teaching Facebook Live 8 years ago, and I could still launch a Facebook Live program today. Hardly anything has changed in terms of how that can be how that can benefit your brand. Now, things change over time, like apps usually change. The question of TikTok and is it going to go away? It's not going to go away, number one. And my personal view, so if you were to say to me, is it really worth it, Jaya? Is it really worth it to invest in this? I will say to you, obviously, yes, it is worth it. And the way I want you to think about it is that whether or not you build to 1 million followers on an app and you go viral, and if that looks worth it to you, I will say, no matter what outcome comes, how much money you make, how much impact you create, how much fame you create, no matter what, you will become a more effective communicator and marketer through mastering the skill of speaking your message on camera. And that is not only worth it because, yes, you will create more money, more impact, more fame. You will. You certainly won't if you don't do it. So we can just assume you will. And that personal skill that you will create will benefit you everywhere in your business. And so for that reason, I'm in.
Well, I think that is the perfect way to end this on that note.
Love
Jaya,
it.
thank you. You shared a couple of platforms. What is the best way for someone to reach you if they would like to learn more information about your work? I'll be sure to put these in the comments and
Yeah, for sure.
in the
I'll give
description
you
and all that.
I have a link that just has a number of free resources. I have a free video marketing course and a workshop that goes through my whole framework. So we have a number of ways, and I'll just give you the link for that. And then I'm with Jaya Rose everywhere, Instagram, TikTok, and you can come check me out there.
Oh, and I know anyone listening or watching this will. You see right here the impact that Jaya has. Jaya, thank you so much for being here. And to
Yeah.
those watching and listening, whether you're here live or on the recordings, very much appreciate you being here as well. And cheers to everyone for just a phenomenal business year, rest of 2024 to each of you. Thank you.
Thank you.